I try to remember whatever I'm walking through, this is not the sum total of my whole life. This is a season. Sometimes
Ooh,
when we
that's
go
good.
through hard seasons, we can start to feel like what we're feeling today, what we're experiencing today is going to be the rest of our life. And it's not, it's a season.
Thrilled to have Lysa TerKeurst with us this morning.
Yes, so fun.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. It's such an honor to be with you. And I'm excited about our time together today. Good stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to be on tour. It's called the Encounter Tour. What's that all about?
It is. Okay. So I absolutely love doing ministry via Zoom and via radio and all those exciting things. Thankful that in this pandemic we've had that opportunity. But my favorite way to do ministry is face-to-face, heart-to-heart. And so the Encounter Tour is a time for me to get together with people. And I like to set the tone at the beginning of the night with whoever's coming to the Encounter Tour. Don't think of me as the speaker and you as the audience. Let's think about this in the context of getting together and having a conversation and a check-in, like, how are you and how am I? And I've been through a lot of really challenging things in the past several years. And so it's, and that's not unique to me. I think a lot of us have been through a lot of challenging things. So this isn't going to be like, oh, there's Lysa, the polished speaker, and we're the audience, and we're just going to receive from her. This is going to be more heart to heart, like, hey, this has been hard, and I'm not unique in that. This has been hard on you too. And let's talk about the real stuff, and let's have a conversation. So I think the atmosphere of the Encounter Tour is extremely personal and extremely unique. And for those people who have been reading my books and who I feel like I do life with in the ministry realm, I think it will be a time to just get together and really encourage one another and have a great conversation about what does it look like to want to pursue God, but get absolutely knocked down by life over and over. And I'm not unique in that.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. Yeah, the tour is going to be in one of our Family Life Radio cities in Warner Robins, Georgia in March. And we'll put on the website where that is and everything. Just, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. Talk about, you've been through a lot of, obviously we have mountaintop experiences and valley experiences. Just curious, what have you done intentionally to journey through those valleys?
Such a good question. I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I try to remember whatever I'm walking through, this is not the sum total of my whole life. This is a season. Sometimes
Ooh,
when we
that's
go
good.
through hard seasons, we can start to feel like what we're feeling today, what we're experiencing today is going to be the rest of our life. And it's not, it's a season. And the second thing I have to remember is God is not doing this to me. He's probably in some ways doing this for me, even if I don't understand the for me yet. And maybe I won't for a very long time, but I used to get stuck in feeling so frustrated, like, why would God allow this to happen? And now I try to switch the question to, this is happening now. How can I intentionally look for what God might be doing? And anything God touches turns to eventual good. And so I'm not saying this looks good or feels good, but I know when it passes through God's hands, and it always passes through God's hands, that anything he touches eventually can be used for good. And so that's a better way for me to manage my emotions around that. And the third thing I'll say I have to work really hard at, and we will talk about, is how do I process human relationships, that some of them are for a season and some of them are for a lifetime? And how do I be a kind Christian woman and at the same time draw boundaries that are absolutely necessary in relationships that need to have boundaries? So we're going to talk about all of that.
That's good.
Wow. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Your thought, a depleted girl can quickly become a defeated girl when she lets emotions dictate her reactions, spoke to me because I think Kink and Sally will confirm I sort of live by my emotional reaction. I think it's one of my pitfalls for sure in life. So I was wondering how you've been able to find victory over those, immediate emotional reactions that you experience.
Well, first of all, I think this is a great question.
Mm.
And I want to say, I used to make the mistake of saying, like, don't, don't feel angry, or don't feel frustrated. And I would try to give myself these little pep talks, like, you're not sad, you're happy, because that's what it means to be a Christian woman, is to find joy in it all. And so now I've realized, like, God made us with emotions. Our emotions are great indicators of what needs to be addressed in our life. They just shouldn't be dictators of how we act and react with other people. And so I say, feel the emotion, let the emotion inform you what's going on, and be honest. Sometimes the emotions are the ways that we see red flags that we really need to pay attention to. And one of my downfalls, and I'm working on it in therapy, thank you very much, is, is sometimes a red flag has to be like burning to the ground, like in ashes, before I tilt my head and go, that flag was kind of red, actually,
Mm.
And sometimes it's because I hyper spiritualize my emotions, when what I really need to do is feel the emotion and get the indication of what the emotion is trying to tell me, but just not be dictated by the emotion in my reactions.
That's
That's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Wow.
You also mentioned that you've wrestled with healing. I mean, I think anybody that's honest with themselves, healing is not easy. It's hard work, but we all need to experience at some points or another. So just kind of wondering what you've been able to learn as you journey through that.
Well, healing is complicated and it takes time. And I think we need to be very patient with ourselves. And I think we need to understand God is patient with our healing. There's two parts to healing. We have to deal with the facts of what happened, but the much longer process is going to be dealing with the impact of what impact did this have on me. And I think we serve a very grace-filled God who will challenge us and comfort us all in the same line of where we're trying to move in healing. Here's how I know that I am healing. When I talk about things that have happened to me, am I more consumed with retelling all the things that happened and almost proving that I was hurt so much? Or am I more concerned with simply stating the fact of what happened and getting to the transferable wisdom that I gained in the midst of that? And I know I'm really starting to heal when I'm more eager to talk about the transferable wisdom than I am regurgitating the facts of how I was hurt. Obviously, there's a middle ground there, and that's where I talk about the fact and the impact. We've got to be honest with that. We've got to deal with it. For me, I had to meet with a counselor, a great Christian counselor, to help me work through the process of it. But as I have moved through the process of healing, I know I'm getting there when I am more eager to talk about the transferable wisdom.
Love that.
That's good. I think when you're hurting,
Oh.
I don't even think you're thinking about what am I learning through this. You're
Yeah.
just like, this stinks.
Mhm.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
That's to reprogram your brain
Yeah.
to go, okay, what's the good here? that is
Yeah,
hard to do.
Hank, I love how you phrase that, because I think it's also training your brain not to get stuck in
Mhm.
the hurt and the pain and all that seems unfair. Like, we can acknowledge that, we can work through it, we can do work around it. And I think that's all so, so, so important. And at some point, then we can make the decision. Like, I suffered long enough because of what someone else did to me. Now I get to make the chance to move forward. I get to make the choice to move forward. And when I move forward, I'm going to take from this lessons that will help me live a better life in the future, whatever that may be. Maybe it's that I'll never act like that person acted. There's
Sure.
nothing like big doses of our own humility when we think to ourselves, like, but for the grace of God, I could have done the same thing. And seeing someone else do that to me will help me never repeat that mistake. But also recognizing that sometimes there's just evil in this world. And when evil gets done to us, it makes us more sensitive to be compassionate to other people who have also suffered at the hands of evil. And so
Mm,
quicker that we can put a stake in the ground and say, I've suffered long enough because of what's happened to me. Now I'm going to move forward and use this somehow to teach me life lessons, to make me a better person, and to show me what kind of relationship issues I don't want to see repeated in the future.
Mm.
that's good.
Yeah, it's really good. And I think about the whole emotional, spiritual side to healing. But I read recently in a very recent blog of yours something that I related to very well. It's about healthy eating. You were talking in the blog about how your daughter made some cinnamon rolls and you enjoyed a couple of them.
Ooh,
And
stop it. This sounds good. Mm,
hey, amen. Get up the next day and think, okay, Lord, make that scale be 2 pounds lighter.
yeah.
It hasn't ever happened for me. And I thought, thank you for that transparency and writing that. So, talking about healthy eating and goals and healthy eating habits, and what are you learning in that struggle? And because I need to know.
Well, thank you for asking.
Mm.
Yeah, today it was not cinnamon rolls. Today, some of my staff ordered chips and queso.
Oh,
And
why
Hey,
do they do that?
here I am
That's my
eating
love
my
language.
grilled chicken and my grilled
that's your love
vegetables.
language. That's
I'm from Texas. It is.
yeah, right. That's true. That's a Texas thing. It's
And hey, there's nothing wrong with chips and queso, except if you've already made the commitment to eat the grilled veggies and grilled chicken. And
Yeah.
so, one thing that I have really been working on this year is not attaching food to my source of happiness at every event. In other words,
mm,
I think about, oh, I can't wait to go to the movies because I know I'm going to get popcorn and M&Ms, or oh, I can't wait to go to the ballpark where I'm going to get a hot dog, or oh, I can't wait to go out with my girlfriends and get chips and queso. And you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And so
Yes.
many times, like some of the happy points of life, instead of enjoying the people and enjoying the activities and all of that, I am guilty sometimes of attaching the happiest parts to events, to the food that will be there.
Mhm.
And
mm.
so
Yes.
I'm really working on making sure that I remember food is not the ultimate source of happiness. Food is a resource to keep my body going and to keep my body healthy. But it's the people and it's the purpose and it's the activities that we're doing
Mhm.
that really should be the ultimate source of my happiness. Not that food can't be happy, food can be happy, but really we should consume food. We should not have food consuming us and our thoughts.
Mm.
That's good.
Yes, that is very good. I think I totally relate to that whole idea of relating food to activities
Oh,
and
yeah.
relationships and family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even my memories. I think back to like really great memories, and the first thing that my
Mm.
mind will go to is, oh, that time that my grandma made me that birthday cake, and we had leftovers for 3 days. And it's not the fact that my family was together; it's the fact that I had to eat cake, and that's really sad.
Yeah, it's a
And
good point.
so, that's such a good example. So, you know what I would do in that kind of situation? I would say, okay, instead of parking my mind on the cake, I'm going to park my mind on my grandma's act of love.
Oh,
Aw.
that's good.
I do like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good way to frame
Mhm.
it. Yes.
Mhm.
that's great.
Mhm. I saw one of your quotes that also resounded with me, having to do with another thing that I really need to deal with, which is grab some grace and keep going. How have you applied that in your life?
Well, I'm a rule follower. So when
Mhm.
I think about doing life correctly, I think about following the rules, and I think that's a good quality until it becomes such a dictating quality that I become absolutely consumed with knowing the rules at all times
Mm.
and following the rules more than I follow God.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
so one thing that I feel like God is challenging me is He wired me to be a rule keeper, and I am I am wired to want to do the right thing.
Mm.
And inevitably, I'm also human, so I'm going to do the wrong thing. And when I do the wrong thing, instead of condemning myself and beating myself up and getting stuck there, just thinking, well, now the rest of my day is shot because of this, I grab some grace and I remember God's grace is his gift to me. I receive whatever lesson or correction I'm supposed to receive, but I'm not going to let it keep me stuck there. And I'm not going to redefine my whole day by this one mistake. I'm going to grab some grace and keep on going.
That's good.
It's so powerful because for me, again, as a rule follower, wanting things to work all out, you know, it's the things I rehearse as I'm falling asleep at night that I'm like, no, stop that. Accept the grace that is given to you and even allow the mistakes to be ministry and opportunities to show that we don't all have to be perfect.
Now, Lysa, I'm married to a rule follower. And Becky, I've noticed this, and Misty, you're a little this way too.
Curious to see what he's going to say.
Welcome to the party, Misty. Here we go.
That when you have that as a part of your personality, it can be hard to get over when you've been done wrong because there's a sense of justice involved there. How do you deal with that? And how do I deal with her?
And me in the morning, apparently.
Misty at 4:30 in the morning.
I feel like we're trying to have confession time with Kate. What he really wants to know is, I relate to that so much because I want there to be a right and a wrong in every situation. And I want the right to be celebrated and the wrong to be addressed. And I want it to be all done immediately, Yep. And where I get really frustrated is sometimes God lets time unfold and it appears as if things that were wrong have gone unaddressed or possibly even unseen by God. And so a couple of years ago, I was asked this question actually at an encounter tour. And I remember the answer that came out of my mouth. I preach this to myself often now. And I really feel like the Lord just said, this is it. Remember this. And it's that we don't serve a do nothing God. God is always doing something. And even if we can't see it, or if what we see seems confusing, what we know is that God has never in the history of the world ever been in a position where he's doing nothing. Even in times where we don't hear him, he's still doing something, and that something is working toward eventual good. We serve a God of grace, but we also serve a God of justice. And God says that he will address the things that need to be addressed. It just may not be in our way, in our timing, or in ways that we can see. I've really struggled with some really hurtful things that have been done to me in the past couple of years. And I've made the mistake before of looking externally and thinking that person completely got away with this. But what I know to be true is sin always comes as a package deal. And it always has consequences as part of its package. I don't have to see that someone's facing the consequences of their choices, but I know sin always comes as a package deal of consequences. And when that person sinned against me, they unleash those consequences. And I may never see them facing those consequences, but I can trust that God is using consequences to address those actions.
That's good.
Yes.
So, Misty, God's getting them.
I mean, David did pray, God, smite my enemies, right?
Exactly.
Smote.
He smoked.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
That's
awesome.
I needed to hear that.
Sometimes I wonder if maybe my definition of smite my enemies is different than God's definition.
Exactly.
Smite them a little harder.
That's right. Exactly. Now you're always working on a new book. What are you working on right now?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure if I'm allowed to tell you, Tank, but since we're friends, Sally and Misty, do you think I should tell him? Should I answer his question and risk it?
Well, you can tell us and trust us with it.
Earmuffs.
Do you want me to leave here? No?
He's pretty trustworthy.
Okay. I'm dropping the exclusive right here.
Ooh,
The title of the new project I'm working on is Good Boundaries and Goodbyes, Loving Others Around You Without Losing the Best of Who You Are.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the big question that started me on this whole journey of trying to figure out, I write about what I struggle with. Okay. So
Mhm.
that's very obvious in all the titles of my books. If you want to know the issues of Lysa TerKeurst, just look at the book.
Just read her books.
You'll see it's all
It's
laid
right
out.
there.
But my big question around boundaries was really trying to understand, are boundaries biblical? Like, what does it look like to be a godly woman and to be in not just a difficult relationship, but a destructive relationship? And does God give us instructions and examples of how to do boundaries appropriately? Is it Christian? Is it kind? Is it appropriate? How do you draw boundaries? Who do you put the boundary on? Do you put it on them? Do you put it on you? And so I answer all of those questions in this book. And what I discovered in many, many hours of theological and psychological research is that boundaries are not just a good idea, they're actually a God idea. God established even the creation of the world with appropriate boundaries. And so I think people are going to find a lot of freedom in this book, and also a lot of application of what to do in those relationships where you feel stuck and you say, I just can't take it anymore. How do you turn good relationships around? And how and when does God give us permission to simply let some relationships go because they're not just difficult, but they're actually destructive?
Mm.
Wow, that's going to be freeing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes,
Really is.
I think that's a good word, freeing,
Yeah.
because you're letting go of something that has meant something to you, but yet you can see.
It's destructive.
Mhm.
Yeah. We had a conversation with a guy yesterday, the day before, over an hour, Lisa. We were on the phone with this gentleman who wanted to take his life.
Yesterday.
And he had so much hurt and had so much pain. His wife of 35 years had been continually cheating on him nonstop, and he just couldn't get over it.
Mm.
I've been there before myself. I'm an ex that's been remarried, and that's what happened to me. Someone cheated on me, and I just clearly said, this is an area in the Bible where it says God says that because of what's happened, you have the right to leave if you so choose. And sir, the hurt that it's caused you, I think you need to do that. And he still could not. He was still clinging.
He's still stuck in it.
It was very codependent because it was obviously she's continually doing this over and over again. He was afraid of being alone.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's,
People need to hear
all
that.
of that.
They do.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, God's given you a message that I think every one of us needs to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So through your pain, I appreciate that so much. Well,
And
there's
let me say one thing, Sally, because I think
Yeah.
so many people are right where you just described that caller was at. And what I would say is, when his wife has repeatedly cheated on him over and over and over, she's already divorced him. And
True.
so he's not leaving her. He is staying right where he's supposed to be. He's kept his vows and he is standing pure before God. But at some point, he's got to accept reality that this is an unsustainable relationship and it's not honoring to God what she's doing. And so if he wants to honor God, then he needs to accept reality.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
an excellent point about, who's leaving who, appreciate that. There's a note on your website where you write that you love doing life with friends like you. What does that mean? I mean, speaking to your audience, and how does friendship mean and fit into your life?
Well, Sally, for years I've done ministry where I've gone out and been in a lot of crowds. And when I look at the life of Jesus, I see Jesus doing ministry to crowds sometimes, but it wasn't all the time. And sometimes Jesus ministered to the individual, and I intentionally seek out times where I do for one what I wish I could do for all, and I do some individual ministry, and I love it. But when I look at the life of Jesus, I also see that Jesus sat at tables and broke bread with broken hearts and did small community driven types of ministry where you gather together. And so I have intentionally built a place here at my house where I can sit at tables with people and then literally invite my readers over, and the people that I do ministry with, I can do a slice of life with. And you know, it may not be that we live next door together, but I can invite them over and make this a more pure way to do ministry, that it's not Lysa the speaker and Lysa the author and Lysa the one who's always teaching, but Lysa the one who wants to sit and share heart to heart and acknowledge I have as much to learn from the friends that are gathered together. I learn as much from them as they do from me. And I feel like that feels so authentic and so pure. And it just keeps my heart in a place of doing what I love the most in ministry. And that is loving God and loving other people.
That's good.
It's
Like
beautiful.
That. Cool. We're coming over tomorrow.
Sweet, Hank. Just make sure you bring your wife, because we're gonna bust on your confession.
Oh, I know you guys will.
It's about time somebody does.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, Lysa, thank you so much for spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's such a joy. And thank you guys for reminding people about the Encounter Tour. And hopefully I'll see you when I'm in a city near you.
Awesome. Be great. Yeah.
Can I ask one quick question?
Uh-oh.
Sure.
What mascara do you have on? Because your eyelashes look so good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is really funny. This is such a great question. So I decided, okay, so I don't really like to every single day have to put tons of time into getting ready because I just don't have that luxury, you know? And so I went and got eyelash extensions.
Oh yeah, see, I had them too. I just recently took them off because I'm moving and I won't have my lady.
I'm allergic to the adhesive.
Well, the thing is,
Love
they
'em.
use extra sensitive glue. So I haven't had any kind of, I used to have, like when I first got them done, we had to find the right glue. But now, I don't know, it just worked. And I get up and I didn't even do anything to my eyelashes today.
Well, they look amazing.
Like,
I've been admiring them the whole time we were talking.
That's hilarious because you know what? My appointment's tomorrow. So I'm feeling a little bald in the eyelashes.
No, they look good. They look good.
That's
Poor
awesome.
Hank has to put up with Missy and me having makeup discussions
Ladies.
I know,
daily.
Hank, do you have any makeup questions you'd like to ask me? Because let's just go ahead and get those out of the way.
It's okay. Safe place. Safe place.
Yeah, what do I do with this right here? Oh my
There is
gosh.
no
Contour,
cure.
my friends.
So funny.
Contour.
Yeah, right. Well, Lysa, you have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great talking to you.
It's wonderful. God bless
Bye-bye.
you.
All right. God bless.
Bye-bye.